Alright, hey guys, I'm here to do my UFC Perth predictions. As you can see here, last time we did okay. We kind of went on a losing streak, but overall we actually just profited a little bit, like quite a bit actually. Um, as I've said before, I've made a significant amount of money doing this, and I am unemployed because of that, and I play Clash Royale all day because I'm able to do that because of what I do. And I'm going to share my picks with you guys. Uh, as I've said before, predictions does not mean you should put money on it. Picks means you should put money on it. So we start off with Alicia Ellison versus Brando Pericic. So at first I thought this was like a woman fight when I looked at it. I was like, who are these two? Alicia Ellison? And then I saw it was 120.2 kilograms. I don't think any sanctioned female fighter is 120.2 kilograms. I have a sneaking suspicion this is a male fight. I will not pick anything, and honestly, I won't even predict because I have no clue who these two are. They have no pictures. I can't tell you who these are. So we move on to Luana Carolina versus Michelle Montague. I think this is actually a woman fight. Um, I'm gonna predict Luana Carolina just because of the fact that Alice Pereira was such a absolute disappointment last time around. But I'm not gonna pick anything because this is a woman fight that I don't care about and I have no clue who these two are. Simple as that. We move on to this is a real fight. Jamie Malarkey versus Rolando Bedoya. I'm gonna pick Rolando Bedoya moneyline. And here is why. There was a time when, at the start, Rolando Bedoya, we actually thought of him as somewhat, like, competent as a fighter. We had, we saw him as a little bit of a prospect. Maybe he could turn into a nice gatekeeper someday. And that's a lot better than what Jamie Malarkey has had so far. I mean, he's had like a really long layoff too. I'm gonna go with Rolando Bedoya money line. I would predict Rolando Bedoya, let's say TKO, because I don't think Jamie Malarkey has it in him to keep a scrap going more than Rolando Bedoya. So Jamie Malarkey, he's just not that good. He's been on a big layoff. I think that's just it. And he doesn't have like the ability to impose his will as much as someone who has slightly darker complexion than him. Okay, we move on to Cam Roston versus Andre Petrosky. Even though Cam Roston is like white and gray all over in his picture, I'm gonna go with Cam Roston, and here's why. Andre Petrosky, he is a fighter that's competent, and that's all I can give him. He got knocked out by throwing himself onto someone. He got knocked out by a takedown defense, by a sprawl. Cam Roston, I've seen him in the Contender Series. He has quick hands, and he's in the City Kickboxing crew, so he's definitely got like somewhat of a good takedown defense. I think good enough to at least keep Petrosky away from him. Cam Roston, he's got quick hands. He's got the ability to crack, and he can take a punch pretty well. Andre Petrosky, I don't think I could say that about him. I'm going to pick Cam Roston money line. Andre Petrosky, not that good. I'm going to predict Cam Roston takes him out. I'm going to say by KO. We move on to Oban Elliott versus Jonathan Mikhailov. I actually do like Jonathan Mikhailov a lot, and I'm going to pick him by decision. Oban Elliott, he was able to weather a crazy storm by that Korean guy, but that's the issue. He lost, right? And Oban Elliott is a grappler, and he got out grappled. Whereas Jonathan Mikhailov, he's got really good striking. He outstruck Kevin Jusey, who's a really good kickboxer. And Jonathan Mikhailov, he is fucking huge, right? Whereas Oban Elliott is actually not that big. So I'm going to say Jonathan Mikhailov, regardless of what Oban Elliott has over him in terms of skill, I think Mikhailov can actually like stuff a lot of takedowns, and just because he's so strong and big. And I don't think Oban Elliott's striking is as good as Jonathan Mikhailov's, right? And however, I do think Oban Elliott can take a good hit. He can take body kicks like Mikhailov has been doing to was doing to Kevin Jusset. He can take leg kicks. He just can't protect himself. All right. We move on to Loma Lutboom versus Alexia Dainara. Okay, I'm not going to have a pick for this. I'm going to say Alexia Dainara. And here's my issue with women MMA. I don't hate women MMA as much, and it's okay. I don't completely hate women MMA. I think it's a sport. However, my main issue with it is whenever we have like a good prospect, and I love my Asian fighters, right? Like I always support an Asian fighter. We always have this thing where it's like, oh my god, this person's crazy, right? Like let's say the Wang Kongs or the Ming Shis, right? We have like this stage where it's like, oh my god, she's amazing. She's crushing these cans like pretty easily, right? There was this one time where Ming Shi, Dr. Sleep, some casuals might call her, had a really good head kick KO, and I saw like Instagram reels of her with like 2 million likes, and that's crazy. Like people that I knew, female people that I knew, like liked this post, right? And they have no clue that she got absolutely dominated on Road to UFC by a fucking Brazilian. And that's my issue. The same as Wang Kong. She just got smudged by whoever the fuck. I think the same thing's going to happen. Alexia Dainara, she's another one of these Brazilian women. And I'm not saying women. I'm saying women as a very soft, pliable term. Alexia Dainara will absolutely smudge Loma Lutboom, I think. Just off principle that she's a large, oversized, in terms of muscle, overdeveloped Brazilian person. And Loma Lutboom is just a skilled Asian fighter. That's just... I'm sorry that I'm going on a rant, but like look at the reach advantage. This is like such a joke. That cannot be right. I don't think Alexia Dainara is like anywhere close to being as skilled, but she's Brazilian and she's large and she has probably a similar amount of testosterone as me. Sorry, rant over, and we move on to Rodolfo Gelato versus Navajo Sterling. I'm going to go with Navajo Sterling. This is a pretty easy fight to pick. I'm going to go with Navajo Sterling moneyline because Rodolfo Gelato, I'm banking on it being he was faking his, what do you call it? He was faking getting knocked out by fucking Paul Craig. But I'm not willing to take the risk, actually. So I'm going to say Navajo Sterling has the potential to knock him out because Rodolfo Gelato could be chinny. But at the same time, Rodolfo Gelato might have like a pretty solid chin and was just faking it. So I'm going to say Navajo Sterling by money line. He's just more skilled. He's faster. He's younger. I mean, Rodolfo Gelato is young, pretty similar age, but he doesn't seem like it when he's fighting in there. Navajo Sterling has pretty good striking defense. He has a longer reach. He's able to out-wrestle him. I think this is a pretty easy fight to pick. Navajo Sterling moneyline. We move on to Louis Sutherland versus Justin Taffa. I'm never going to pick a fight for the Taffa bros. But I will predict that Louis Sutherland will win by, let's say, TKO. I mean, I don't hate the Taffa bros. They're just not profitable, in my opinion. We move on to Tom Nolan versus Charlie Campbell. This is a pretty difficult fight to pick. So I'm not going to have a pick for this, but I do think Tom Nolan can edge it out. Charlie Campbell has good boxing. He's got good hands. He's pretty fast. Tom Nolan's kind of rangy for a lightweight. They both somewhat are, but Tom Nolan is more rangy. This is also a short notice fight, I believe. I'm going to say, yeah, Tom Nolan, He might just keep him at range, 29, 20, 29, 28 him, just like at range. Boring fight probably, but I mean, I can't pick it though because Charlie Campbell might just get in his face. So we move on to Jake Matthews versus Neil Magny. I think Neil Magny is a flukester, and I cringed to see that fight, that knockout against what's his name, Mike Malott. But I'm still going to pick Jake Matthews. I'm gonna pick Jake Matthews money line, and here's why. Jake Matthews, I mean, he is kind of a decision merchant, but we're also talking about Neil Magny, who can just get shut out with one hit. Jake Matthews, he's been looking good. He just beat Chidi and Njokuani. I mean, how is he 31, actually? What the hell? He's 31. He's been fighting since, 2014. That's, before I was born. But anyways, yeah, I think Jake Matthews wins this fight. He's really improved since, in his past, 2 or 3 fights. He's on a win streak. Neil Magny doesn't have it in him. I think Jake Matthews, we can see him be a ranked contender sometime soon. And he's only 31. I mean, that's actually kind of crazy how he is. So yeah, Jake Matthews money line. I would predict him to win, let's say KO, because I'd want to see Neil Magny get put the fuck out. All right, Jimmy the fucking Brute Crete versus Ivan Erslan. Jimmy Crute will win this fight. Ivan Erslan is not good. He kind of looks like Volkan Oezdemir. But he's not winning this. He lost to, what's his name? Ibo Aslan, who kind of has a similar name to him. Anyways, no, he's not that good. What does he have? What can you point out about his game that he has? He can really walk forward. I think that's all he has. Jimmy Crute, I think he'll actually back up Ivan Erslan, in my opinion. Jimmy Crute's got big power. I mean, that's all he has. But that's enough to take out Ivan Erslan. I'm going to say Jimmy Crute by decision because he does gas out sometimes. But I think he will have the opportunity to take at least 2 rounds off him, and he might just knock him out. So I'm going to say money line. I'm going to predict Jimmy Crute by decision, though, however. I don't think Ivan Erslan is that good. I mean, low-level light heavyweight fight. I mean, light heavyweight's already a pretty low-level division, but I'm going to say Jimmy Crute takes it and then becomes a jobber after this. All right, we move on to Jack Jenkins versus Ramon Taveras. I don't think I can feasibly put a pick for this. Jack Jenkins, he's pretty solid. He's pretty good at shifting away, walking backwards, counter striking. Whereas Ramon Taveras is a pretty good boxer, and he's got longer range than Jack Jenkins. But the issue for me is Ramon Taveras is going up a weight class. And he's going to be much faster, especially in the boxing against someone like Jack Jenkins, who's just goes across the fence and just skids along it, right? On paper, Jack Jenkins should take this pretty well, but Ramon Taveras, I'm just scared of him having an Andre Fili type of performance, right? I'm going to go with no pick, but I'm going to predict Jack Jenkins takes this by decision. Okay, so we move on to the main event. Pretty shit card in my opinion. Don't listen to anyone who says this is underrated. This is pretty shit, and this is very top heavy. I don't care what anyone says. I am taking Dominic Reyes money line, and here's why. Carlos Ulberg had the ability to crack. He's not as young as people think he is, and a lot of the time the first thing that goes from fighters, is their power before their skill. Let's say, for example, Jose Aldo is a very big example. Jan Blachowicz is a big example. And Dominic Reyes, I mean, he can get chinned, but he has an improved chin. Like, I am not concerned that he will get absolutely flatlined anymore. At least, not as much anymore. I think Dominic Reyes will be able to outbox him, outstrike him. He's rangier. He's taller. They're definitely not the same height as it says right here. Dominic Reyes, he has the cardio to, outpace Carlos Ulberg like how he's looked in recent fights. That fight with Jan Blachowicz, not Dominic Reyes, don't talk about that. The fight with Ulberg versus versus Jan Blachowicz. Fuck. Carlos Ulberg versus Jan Blachowicz was a very, very, very poor performance by Carlos Ulberg. He won the fight barely. It was a split decision, and it could have gone either way if someone threw another pitter-patter leg kick that buckled either one. However, Carlos Ulberg took it. Jan Blachowicz, he has skill. That's all he has going for him nowadays because he's just that old. Carlos Ulberg is not fighting someone, and he was very tentative of Jan Blachowicz's power. Carlos Ulberg is going to fight the exact same way against Dominic Reyes because Dominic Reyes has huge power, especially in that fucking piston left hand, right? I'm going to say Dominic Reyes has the ability to knock out Carlos Ulberg, whereas Carlos Ulberg must find an opportunity to really sit down on his shots, which he really doesn't do that much anymore. Dominic Reyes will absolutely beat Carlos Ulberg, and he is going to fight Magomed Ankalaev, and we'll see what happens from there because I really fucking hope Dominic Reyes wins this. There's nothing else that Carlos Ulberg has over Dominic Reyes when you think about it, when you break it down. Carlos Ulberg has big power, but he doesn't bring himself the opportunities to use that power, whereas Dominic Reyes does. Dominic Reyes has better boxing, as we saw with the John Jones fight. He can beat someone with good striking defense. Dominic Reyes has really good kicking. He's got really good body kicks, especially because he fights out of the southpaw stance. He's got really strong leg kicks, right? And he's got good head kicks if he really wants to do that. I don't think he would against someone like Carlos Ulberg. Carlos Ulberg has pretty good boxing. He can grapple, but he's mostly a striker. Dominic Reyes, it'll be a stand-up fight. Dominic Reyes has honestly one of the best takedown defense in this division, as we saw in the Jones fight. Dominic Reyes has probably similar to better cardio than Carlos Ulberg. That's on top of the fact that Dominic Reyes fights at a completely higher pace, like different realms, right? We are taking Dominic Reyes by money line, and I'm going to predict that Dominic Reyes takes him by fucking knockout. I really don't like Carlos Ulberg. I don't like how his fucking ugly pinhead face is. I think Carlos Ulberg had one of the most privileged rises to the top because he lost to what's that guy's name? He got knocked out by someone. That big fat black dude. I don't remember his name, but you know what I'm talking about, right? He's like a heavyweight now. Dominic Reyes can definitely put his lights out if that fucking fat ass can do it too. So we are taking Dominic Reyes money line. All right, that was the full card. I'm gonna do another recap video once that card happens, and we're gonna look at our profits. Once we hit $200, we're gonna start working with units, as in percentage of our account, right? So we can make an exponential earning. All right, so that was the full card. See ya.